The Silent Gambit. The Nexus station drifted in the void between star systems, a massive crystalline structure that served as neutral ground for the Galactic Council. Its transparent walls revealed the endless tapestry of stars beyond, while inside, representatives from 17 civilizations prepared for what many believed would be humanity's final hearing. Ambassador Maya Singh stood perfectly still at the center of the circular chamber. Her dark eyes remained fixed on the holographic projection floating before her, showing Earth surrounded by Vextari warships. She wore a simple black suit that contrasted sharply with the elaborate ceremonial robes and biomechanical augmentations of the other delegates. Behind her, 3 members of her diplomatic team maintained similar poses of calm readiness. Dr. James Chen, her scientific advisor, kept his hands folded neatly in front of him. Captain Sophia Reeves, head of security, stood with military precision, and Marcus Webb, their communications specialist, held a small data pad that occasionally flickered with encrypted messages from Earth. The Vextari delegation dominated the opposite side of the chamber. Their bodies towered over the other species, covered in chitinous armor that shifted colors with their emotional states. Currently, their shells displayed deep purples and reds, signaling aggression and contempt. High Commander Zeth's 4 arms gestured dramatically as he spoke, his primary voice accompanied by harmonics from his secondary vocal chambers. "The evidence is irrefutable," Zeth declared, his words translated instantly into every language present. "Humanity has violated the Concordat of Species. They have developed quantum entanglement communication without Council oversight. They have established hidden colonies beyond their designated space. They have militarized technologies meant for peaceful purposes." The chamber buzzed with reactions from other delegates. The crystalline luminary chimed their disapproval. The aquatic hydros gurgled their concern. The mechanical consciousness of the synthesists processed the data with audible clicking sounds. "These primitives," Zeth continued, his armor now pulsing with darker hues, "have been given every opportunity to integrate peacefully into galactic society. Instead, they choose deception. They choose isolation. They choose defiance." Maya Singh had not moved. She had not spoken. Her silence stretched across the chamber like a physical presence, drawing attention from every corner. The Vextari commander turned directly to face her, his 6 eyes narrowing. "Ambassador Singh, what does Earth say to these charges? Your species faces complete technological quarantine. Your colonies will be recalled. Your quantum research will be terminated. Speak now, or accept the Council's judgment." Maya's lips curved into the slightest hint of a smile. Then she did something that shocked every being present. She turned her back on the Vextari commander and walked slowly to her designated platform. She sat down, crossed her legs, and folded her hands in her lap. Her eyes closed, as if entering meditation. The silence that followed was deafening. Ambassador Singh, the Council Arbiter, an ancient being known as the Eternal, pulsed with bioluminescent urgency. "You must respond to these allegations. Your silence will be taken as admission of guilt." Dr. Chen stepped forward slightly, then stopped as Maya raised one finger minutely. Her team understood the signal. They too moved to their stations and assumed positions of quiet waiting. High Commander Zeth's armor blazed crimson. "This is intolerable. The humans mock this council with their primitive behavior. They refuse to engage in proper diplomatic discourse. I demand immediate sanctions." But something strange was happening. The more the Vextari raged, the more other delegates began to notice subtle changes in the chamber's atmosphere. The luminaries' crystalline forms detected quantum fluctuations at frequencies they had never observed. The synthesists registered anomalous data streams threading through the station's communication networks. Minutes passed, then an hour. Maya Singh remained silent, her breathing deep and regular. Her team mirrored her composure, occasionally exchanging glances that seemed to carry meaning beyond words. The Vextari grew increasingly agitated. Their demands for immediate action became more strident, more desperate. Other species began to withdraw their initial support, sensing something beneath the surface of this strange confrontation. "Why do they not speak?" whispered Ambassador Kree of the Void Touched, her psychic tendrils detecting patterns her mind couldn't quite grasp. "What are they doing?" It was the mechanical synthesists who first understood. Their collective consciousness suddenly pulsed with alarm. Quantum entanglement detected, massive network activation, coordinate systems spanning impossible distances. Marcus Webb's data pad flickered once more. He glanced at it, then looked up with the first expression any human had shown since Maya's silence began. He smiled. The Eternal's ancient form contracted with concern. "Ambassador Singh, the Council demands an explanation. What is the meaning of this quantum activity?" Maya opened her eyes. She stood with fluid grace and finally spoke, her voice carrying a calm authority that silenced every other sound in the chamber. "Honored delegates," she began, "you accuse humanity of deception, of isolation, of defiance. You speak of our primitive nature, our need for supervision, our inability to integrate into your established order." She paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembled aliens. "But I ask you this, who defines integration? Who determines the path of a species' development? Who decides what knowledge should be shared and what should be controlled?" The Vextari commander started to respond, but Maya raised her hand slightly. Remarkably, he stopped. "For 5 Earth years, we have listened to your debates about our future. We have heard your concerns about our rapid technological advancement. We have endured your patronizing offers of guidance and protection." Her voice remained level, but something in it made even the ancient Eternal lean forward. "And through it all, you never once asked the most important question. Why did we choose silence?" The chamber's atmosphere shifted palpably. Every species present felt it, though none could name it precisely. It was as if reality itself had suddenly revealed another layer, one that had always been there, but never noticed. Dr. Chen activated his personal holoprojector. A 3-dimensional map materialized in the center of the chamber, showing not just known space, but vast regions beyond. Dots of light began appearing, hundreds of them, then thousands. "Human colonies," Chen announced quietly. "Established through quantum tunneling technology, undetectable by conventional sensors, self-sufficient, thriving." The map continued to expand, revealing a human presence that dwarfed even the Vextari Empire. "Impossible," Zeth roared. "Our sensors would have detected." "Your sensors detect what you expect to detect," Captain Reeves interrupted, speaking for the first time. "You look for ships moving through space. You scan for energy signatures you recognize. You never consider that we might have found another way." Maya stepped forward, and the quantum fluctuations in the chamber intensified. "You see, honored delegates, humanity's silence was not defiance. It was preparation. While you debated our worthiness, we were building. While you discussed containing us, we were expanding. While you judged us primitive, we were evolving." The luminary ambassador chimed urgently. "But the Concordat assumes all species follow the same developmental path," Maya replied. "It assumes that older civilizations have the right to control younger ones. It assumes that there is only one way to achieve galactic integration." She smiled then, and it was neither aggressive nor submissive. It was the smile of someone revealing a carefully played hand. "Humanity offers a different path, one based on voluntary cooperation, not enforced compliance. One that values diversity of thought over conformity of action. One that sees silence not as weakness, but as strength." The quantum readings in the chamber spiked dramatically. Throughout the station, screens flickered with data streams beyond the processing capability of most species present. Only the synthesists and the ancient Eternal seemed able to partially comprehend what was happening. "We are not here to seek your permission," Maya continued. "We are here to offer you a choice. The old way of control, dominance, and technological suppression, or a new way. A path where each species contributes according to their nature, where knowledge flows freely, where the measure of a civilization is not its age but its wisdom. High Commander Zeth's armor patterns shifted chaotically, reflecting his inner turmoil. You dare threaten the Galactic Council? Threaten? Maya's eyebrows rose slightly. No, Commander. We offer an alternative. The quantum network you're now detecting doesn't carry weapons. It carries information, knowledge. Connections between species who have already chosen to work with humanity outside the Council's restrictions. The revelation sent shockwaves through the chamber. Several smaller civilizations that had remained silent began transmitting on encrypted channels. The synthesist's collective consciousness hummed with intense processing. Marcus Webb stood, his datapad projecting streams of information that formed complex patterns in the air. The network is fully active. 217 inhabited systems are now connected through quantum entanglement. Real-time communication across any distance. Instantaneous data transfer. Collaborative research platforms that transcend physical space. And all of it, Maya added, developed not through conquest or coercion, but through cooperation. Species working together as equals, sharing knowledge freely, growing stronger through diversity rather than uniformity. The Eternal's ancient form pulsed with colors few had ever seen. You have built a rival to the Council. No, Maya replied. We have built an alternative. The Council may continue as it wishes, but those who desire a different path now have one. The silence that followed was different from before. It was not the absence of sound, but the presence of possibility. Throughout the chamber, delegates began to truly see humanity not as upstarts to be controlled, but as architects of genuine change. High Commander Zeth's armor gradually shifted from angry reds to more contemplative blues. And if we refuse this alternative, Maya's expression remained serene. Then you continue as before, but know that humanity will no longer participate in a system that denies us the right to grow, to explore, to become what we choose to become. We will defend our colonies, our allies, and our freedom to pursue knowledge, not through war, but through the simple act of existing beyond your control. She turned to address the entire chamber. The age of species being classified as primitive or advanced by arbitrary standards is ending. We offer a galaxy where each civilization's unique perspective enriches all others, where the measure of progress is not technological dominance but mutual growth. The quantum patterns in the chamber reached a crescendo, and suddenly every delegate could perceive the network. It wasn't just communication channels or data streams. It was a living web of consciousness, connecting minds across impossible distances, creating something greater than the sum of its parts. This is why we chose silence, Maya concluded, not to deceive, but to demonstrate. Words can be twisted, meanings can be lost in translation, intentions can be misunderstood. But reality, once revealed, speaks for itself. She sat back down, her part completed. Around her, the chamber buzzed with new energy. Some delegates were furious, others intrigued, still others awakening to possibilities they had never imagined. The Eternal spoke slowly, its ancient voice carrying the weight of eons. The Council will need time to process this development. We call for a recess. As delegates began to disperse, many approaching the human delegation with questions, offers, and proposals, High Commander Zeth remained standing in place. His armor now displayed patterns none of his species had seen before, symbols of deep uncertainty, of a worldview being fundamentally challenged. Ambassador Maya Singh had stopped talking, and that's when everything began to change. Part 2. When words became weapons. 3 days had passed since Ambassador Maya Singh's revelation shook the Galactic Council. The Nexus station hummed with unprecedented activity as delegates huddled in private meetings, transmitted urgent messages to their homeworlds, and struggled to comprehend the new reality humanity had unveiled. In her quarters, Maya stood before a holographic display showing real-time updates from across the galaxy. Dr. Chen worked at a nearby console, monitoring quantum fluctuations, while Captain Reeves coordinated with security teams spread throughout human space. Marcus Webb sat cross-legged on the floor, neural interface cables connecting him directly to the quantum network. 15 more systems have joined the network in the last hour, Webb reported, his eyes closed in concentration. The Helios Collective just announced their withdrawal from Council oversight. They're calling it the Great Awakening. Maya nodded thoughtfully. And the Vextari? Their fleet movements suggest confusion, Reeves answered. Half their commanders want to attack our colonies immediately. The other half are demanding diplomatic solutions. High Commander Zeth hasn't issued any orders in 2 days. A soft chime announced an incoming message. Chen glanced at his console. It's from the synthesists. They're requesting a private meeting. They say they've decoded something significant from the quantum patterns. Maya considered this. The synthesists were the most technologically advanced species in the Council, their collective machine consciousness capable of processing information at speeds that dwarfed biological minds. If they had discovered something important, it could tip the balance either way. Arrange it, she decided. But first, let's check on our friend. The holographic display shifted to show High Commander Zeth alone in his quarters. The mighty Vextari warrior sat motionless, his armor displaying patterns of deep contemplation. Around him, holographic projections showed scenes from Vextari history, conquests, expansions, the subjugation of lesser species. But between these familiar images flickered something new, glimpses of the quantum network, fragments of communications between cooperating species, visions of a galaxy organized not by power, but by mutual benefit. He's been like that for hours, Webb observed. His neural patterns suggest he's experiencing what we call an existential crisis. Maya's expression softened slightly. The hardest chains to break are the ones we forge in our own minds. Contact him. Tell him I'm willing to meet. Privately. An hour later, Maya stood in an observation deck overlooking the stellar void. The transparent walls offered an unobstructed view of distant galaxies, their light taking millions of years to reach this point. The door behind her hissed open, and heavy footsteps announced Zeth's arrival. The Vextari commander looked different. His armor, usually blazing with aggressive colors, now showed muted tones of uncertainty and introspection. He approached slowly, stopping several meters away, a respectful distance rather than an intimidating one. Ambassador, he began, then paused. When he spoke again, his harmonics carried undertones Maya had never heard from a Vextari before. I have led my people's expansion for 3 centuries. I have conquered systems, crushed rebellions, enforced council law across dozens of sectors. I believe this was strength. Maya turned to face him fully. And now? Now I see networks of cooperation achieving what we accomplished through force, but without the cost, without the resentment, without the constant need for suppression. His primary arms gestured toward the stars. You have made the galaxy larger, Ambassador. And in doing so, you have made us smaller. No, Maya replied gently. We've shown you that there's room for everyone to grow. The Vextari are renowned warriors, yes. But what else could you be? What heights could your species reach if that warrior spirit was channeled into exploration, protection, innovation? Zeth's 6 eyes focused on her with an intensity that would have been threatening days ago. Now it seemed merely curious. You truly believe the old ways can change? That the Council, the Vextari Empire, all of it can transform? Change is the only constant in the universe, Commander. The question is whether we guide that change, or let it sweep us aside. Maya stepped closer, her small human frame dwarfed by the Vextari's bulk, yet somehow holding equal presence. Your people have a saying, victory through strength. But there are many kinds of strength. A soft chime interrupted them. Webb's voice came through Maya's communicator. Ambassador, the synthesists are here, and they're not alone. The conference room had been reconfigured into a neutral space with representatives from multiple species arranged in a circle. The synthesists' collective consciousness manifested through a cluster of crystalline processors that pulsed with soft light. Beside them sat delegates from the Luminary, the Hydros, and surprisingly, 3 junior Vexteri commanders who had arrived separately from Zeth. Ambassador Singh, the synthesists began, their collective voice resonating through multiple speakers. We have analyzed the quantum network exhaustively. Our findings are unprecedented. Holographic displays materialized, showing complex mathematical models and quantum field equations. The network you've created doesn't just facilitate communication. It's fundamentally altering the quantum substrate of local spacetime. Each connection strengthens the overall field, creating emergent properties we're only beginning to understand. Dr. Chen leaned forward, his scientific curiosity evident. What kind of properties? Enhanced computational capacity that scales exponentially with each new node. Predictive modeling that approaches near-perfect accuracy for complex systems. And most remarkably, a form of collective consciousness that preserves individual identity while enabling unprecedented collaboration. The Luminary ambassador chimed in harmony. We've observed similar phenomena in our meditation crystals, but never on this scale. It's as if the network is evolving, becoming something more than its creators intended. Maya exchanged glances with her team. They had suspected something like this might happen, but the reality exceeded their projections. And you believe this poses a threat? On the contrary, the synthesists replied. We believe it represents the next stage of galactic evolution, but it requires careful nurturing, protection from those who would exploit or destroy it. One of the young Vexteri commanders spoke up, his armor patterns showing determination mixed with uncertainty. High command is divided. Some want to attack before the network grows stronger. Others, like us, see an opportunity for our people to evolve beyond conquest. The discussion continued for hours, with more species joining through quantum-linked holograms. Ideas flowed freely, barriers between ancient enemies beginning to dissolve as they glimpsed a shared future. Maya mostly listened, intervening only when necessary to guide the conversation toward constructive outcomes. As the meeting wound down, the Eternal's image appeared in the center of the room. The ancient being's form shimmered with energies older than most star systems. The Council has reached a decision, it announced. We recognize the quantum network as a legitimate alternative to traditional governance. Species may choose their path freely. However, this creates unprecedented challenges that require new solutions. Maya stood. What kind of solutions? A joint task force, composed of representatives from both systems, to manage the transition period, to prevent conflicts, facilitate cooperation, and explore the full potential of this new paradigm. The Eternal paused. We propose that humanity leads this effort in partnership with volunteers from established council species. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was more than anyone had expected, not just acceptance, but active collaboration. High Commander Zeth entered at that moment, having observed the proceedings from outside. His armor now displayed patterns no Vexteri had worn in generations, symbols of transformation, of a warrior choosing a new path. The Vexteri Empire volunteers, he announced, his harmonics carrying conviction. We will contribute our strength to protection, our resources to expansion, our experience to guidance. But we will learn new ways to apply these gifts. One by one, other species added their support. The synthesists offered their computational power. The Luminary pledged their mastery of quantum harmonics. The Hydros contributed their understanding of fluid dynamics as applied to social systems. Maya felt a warmth spreading through her chest, not triumph, but hope. When humans first looked at the stars, she said quietly, we didn't see territory to be claimed or resources to be exploited. We saw questions to be answered, wonders to be explored, friends we hadn't met yet. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes, or equivalent sensory organs, of each delegate. We stopped talking because words had become weapons in a game where everyone lost. But in silence, we found a new language, one spoken through actions, through connections, through the simple recognition that we're all part of something greater. The quantum network pulsed with activity as news of the agreement spread. On worlds throughout the galaxy, beings looked up at their skies with new eyes. Ships that had been prepared for war retooled for exploration. Research facilities that had been locked in competition opened their doors to collaboration. In a secure bunker on Earth, General Patricia Morrison watched the feeds with satisfaction. The military preparations hadn't been in vain. They had provided the security needed for diplomacy to succeed. But now those same resources could be redirected to humanity's true passion, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. "Stand down all defensive protocols," she ordered. "Redirect Project Quantum Shield to exploration parameters, and open recruitment for the new Joint Fleet. We're going to need our best pilots for what comes next." Back on the Nexus station, as delegates departed to carry news to their worlds, Maya found herself once again in the observation deck. This time, she wasn't alone. Representatives from dozens of species had gathered, watching the stars in companionable silence. "What happens now?" asked the young Vexteri commander who had spoken earlier. Captain Reeves answered with a slight smile. "Now we learn what we're all truly capable of. Together." Dr. Chen added, "The network has shown us something remarkable. When diverse minds connect without dominance hierarchies, innovation increases exponentially. We're about to enter a period of discovery that will make our previous advances look primitive." Marcus Webb, still partially connected to the quantum network, opened his eyes. "I'm seeing new nodes coming online every minute. Former enemy species are establishing direct links. Research collaborations are forming spontaneously. It's beautiful." High Commander Zeth approached Maya one final time. "Ambassador, I must ask, when you first chose silence, did you foresee all of this?" Maya's expression grew thoughtful. "We knew that the old patterns were unsustainable, that fear-based governance would eventually collapse under its own weight. We hoped that by demonstrating an alternative, others might choose to evolve with us. But this..." She gestured to the gathered beings, to the quantum displays showing the galaxy transforming in real time. "This exceeds our most optimistic projections. And yet you took the risk. You chose silence over safety." "Sometimes," Maya replied, "the greatest risk is not taking one." Humanity learned that lesson through painful experience. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times before understanding that our diversity was our strength, not our weakness. We wanted to share that insight without imposing it. The Eternal's voice resonated through the station's communication system one last time. Let it be recorded in the galactic archives. On this day, the age of silence ended, and the age of true communication began. Not through words alone, but through understanding. Not through force, but through choice. The galaxy will never be the same. As beings began to disperse, returning to their ships and their worlds to begin the great work ahead, Maya remained at the observation window. The stars looked different now, not distant and cold, but full of promise and potential connections. "Ambassador," Webb said softly, "Earth is asking for a statement. The whole planet is watching." Maya thought for a moment, then smiled. "Tell them that we've stopped talking. And in doing so, we finally learned to communicate." The quantum network pulsed with activity as her words spread not just to Earth, but to every connected world. Somewhere in the vast reaches of space, on planets orbiting stars humanity had yet to name, beings of all kinds looked up and saw not strangers in the dark, but neighbors they hadn't met yet. The revolution hadn't come through fire and conquest, but through the simple recognition that in an infinite universe, there was room for everyone to grow. The Galactic Council would continue, transformed but not destroyed. The quantum network would expand, connecting but not controlling. And between them, species would find their own paths, their own balance, their own ways of contributing to a galaxy that suddenly seemed full of infinite possibilities. High Commander Zeth's final log entry that day would become legendary among his people. "Today I learned that true strength isn't in breaking others, but in breaking the chains of our own limitations. The humans taught us this not through force, but through patience, not through words, but through silence. And in that silence, we heard the future calling. As the Nexus station slowly rotated in the void, its crystalline structure caught the light of distant stars and refracted it into countless colors. It was no longer just a meeting place for the powerful, but a symbol of transformation, a reminder that even the oldest patterns could change, that even the deepest silences could give birth to new forms of understanding. The age of words as weapons had ended. The age of connection had begun. And in that vast web of quantum entanglement that now stretched across the galaxy, every thought, every innovation, every moment of understanding strengthened the whole while preserving the unique contribution of each part. Humanity had stopped talking, and that's when everything truly began to change.